Cheme nyeme kemambi nyoko Gbawe TV. Mene da feature fio no wanyi wo hanye. No ko fio Gbawe wo toemi ya Weija Junction. Cement factory na fe ye jeme. Won na akeshi. Inti konja no ye jeme. Paul omo no na wonu yepe. Wo koleke wo toebole. Wo hye enya yemi. Wo Gbawe TV wo babi ene. Wo akwani ba no ye bi ene. No wo kan anye. Na Gbawe TV mi nkebo. Wo fe wo no ye. Bomoda ko ba YouTube. No a subscribe. Chinang mele no yo jeme ni onye no. Ene ba ngmebugbe be fe be no ke no ko ba kpan no o fe mo kenken no ne ba hye no ja wo Facebook ele no like wo no follow like nyen like wo nyen follow ni lu anyi la ka no ke ya wo YouTube channel ele no nye ru adon ka nyen ko Gbawe TV no fe no ba na e bi ene o ba ne nyen hye no ma jo nye fe ene wo majia cheme onupa New York pa no chi kebenke obranya biye ni amiabu amewie motwe anukwale wona wole yakeshin amla lo eke ni efun cement factory nenu ni enwe amegbe ni ametuni ni wo ni obranya bi New York pa no eteshin ewu amla lo kuni enwe amegbe ni nuchumo ni abagbele yejeme ametuni bona fi ni ame obranya bi ko obranya bi New York pa no amenanu chumo ni amechu ake anu chofa aha elache wo onukpa ni damo nu chumo na fa egbe ami ina wiemo ni ekenya wo ake Gbawe TV
ago awo mega tame choboy okay, ladies and gentlemen of the press, chiefs and elders of Weija Gbawe, good morning. This morning, we are gathered here to respond to allegations being made by residents of of McCarthy Hills Residents Association. We are from Southwest McCarthy Hills, Tetevu, Menstrom, and Oblogo, including Gbawe, all within the Weija Municipal Assembly enclave. As you can see, the chiefs are all seated here, and the issue at stake is this very factory where we are seated. This factory, for some time now, is being hounded by the Residents Association members on top of McCarthy Hill. The Residents Association at McCarthy Hill have made it their mission to attack the construction and have put impediments in the commissioning of this project, which has Chinese and Ghanaian partners. And their excuses being that this factory, just because they have Chinese partners, is going to be another galamsey problem. We beg to differ. We are in Southwest McCarthy Hill, and we share a boundary with the factory. Menstrom shares a boundary with the factory. Oblogo is not far away from the factory. Gbawe is not far from the factory. McCarthy Hill is very, very far away from the factory. Now, this factory was established, registered under the laws of this country as a cement manufacturing, bagging, and supply company. The sword was cut for the ceremony by the late Ishmael Ashite, who was then regional minister, our Honorable Tina Mensah, our MP, the chiefs and elders of the community, the MC of the Weija Gbawe Municipal Assembly in the person of Honorable Patrick Kumo. After the factory was constructed, or in the process of the construction of the factory, all of a sudden, the residents of McCarthy Hills got the information that a factory was being set up at Weija Junction. Then they started all their challenges and difficulties against the factory owners and their Ghanaian counterparts. They went to court, but they withdrew their court case because they realized that they did not have a case. They assumed that the factory was being set up without the requisite permits that were needed to construct a factory. But those permits have been given by the municipal authorities, and an initial application had been made to the EPA to grant final permit to operate upon completion of the construction of the factory. Now, McCarthy Hills Residents Association is made up of a group of pensioners who have nothing to lose. Most of them resided in Europe and America, and they are back in Ghana enjoying their pensions and their wealth peacefully in their big mansions up there. We down here from Menstrom, South McCarthy, Weija Gbawe, Oblogo, Mallam, Top Base, we have a lot of impoverished youth. A lot of them have been educated. and a lot of them have no job since their graduation from universities, technical colleges, high schools, etc. In the course of the construction of this factory, they employed over 500 of our youth, and they were paying them very good paying jobs. Most of them were artisans, bricklayers, welders, carpenters, laborers, drivers, you name it. Now, we saw the advantages in the course of the construction of this factory. So it is very strange to us that all of a sudden a group from up the hill that is not within our catchment area, who will never be affected by anything. Now, some of their concerns they raised in their court case were that the factory, if operationalized, is going to cause environmental hazard as far as pollution was concerned to them. Now, the factory employed experts to give them what we call environmental impact assessment program. Now, the environmental impact assessment program is a report that was set up by experts to advise them on what to do to prevent pollution into the environment. Because naturally, we all know that when it comes to cement, there could be dust particles going up in the air. There could be a lot of traffic hampering the normal traffic flow in this community. Now, what happened was that these experts are all environmental experts, some of whom have worked with the EPA itself for over 20 years. And the report that was brought up was over 500 pages. Now, they have made recommendations as to what the factory should do, and the factory has done it. So after this conference, we will take you on the tour of the factory to show you how the factory building itself was sealed to reduce the emission of particles from the bagging of the cement into the atmosphere. And if in case any particles should escape into the atmosphere, they have installed sprinklers on the walls, which will be activated to spray water into the atmosphere, thereby catching all dust that escape from the factory that may be lingering in the atmosphere. So to the extent, they've also been directed to plant trees that will act as trapping buffers for any other environmental particles that may still be escaping, may still be floating in the air, and may have escaped from the production point. Now, we do know that issues have been raised that a cement factory and a salt company cannot exist side by side. But that is not true. In this current scientific world that we live, science has advanced to the extent that factories like cement factories, factories that normally used to cause environmental hazards, have now been minimized to the extent that most of them are in metropolitan areas. Yes, we do know that Tema is a big metropolis, but even if you go to Tema, where Jata Cement is and other cement factories, they are within cocoa board sheds. And we all know that Ghana exports cocoa. So how can you cite a cement factory less than 400 meters away from the cocoa storage point for export? That is just one example that I can give you. So Pambros Salt Works has a vast land, and its operations can be spread across the salt lake here at Pambros. And Pambros for many, many years have been operating with an environmental permit, yet nobody is attacking them. And Pambros is making issue with a factory that has not even commenced operations to even know whether there will be any adverse impact on the operations of Pambros. This to me is very prejudicial. The most important thing to us at our community here in South Makati, Tetegu, Weija, Gbawe, Menstrom is our youth and the employment that we know this factory can bring. This factory can employ accountants because they are going to deal with sales. They are going to deal with people in marketing because they have to market their whatever cement that will be produced in this factory. They are going to employ factory hands. They are going to employ drivers, haulage drivers, packers, loaders, so many good paying jobs. And on the extensive side, market women in our communities have decided to set up restaurants. They are going to sell produce, groceries, fruits. Local supermarkets will expand because the influx of people that will be coming to this community will require to eat, to drink, and hotels too in the community will have guests occupying their rooms because we have people coming from different places to do business with this factory. Whenever development is coming to a community, it affects various sectors of the local economy. All these cumulative job creation and all these cumulative revenue streams are going to ensure that taxes are also paid to the local economy and to the national economy. GRA is going to make a lot of money. The local municipal authorities are also going to make a lot of money from tax. So It is a win-win situation for everybody. We do not understand and we will never accept that a small group of residents who are rich, whose average age is about 70 years, whose children are living abroad in good schools and who have nothing to lose, would hamper the development of a community whose youth average 28 years, most of whom are very educated and are just walking around doing nothing. And we all know that we are in very dire economic times. So we are urging the government, we are actually begging the government, calling on the government to issue a temporary permit to this company, to this factory, for this factory to start operation, then to assess the environmental impact and traffic impact, if any, and then to review it every year. If the signs that the factory is touting happens not to be the case, then of course government has the right through its environmental department, EPA, to say no, we are yanking or we are withdrawing the permit because the promises that you made, the signs that you touted have not really been established or they've not been proven by the company. So this is the purpose and the reason for this meeting this morning. Thank you very much. Now we can take any questions you want.
Mambi onukpani do munu chumo na ke ewiemo ebanagbe. Ingme mambi igbe ni abile sanyi. Sanji ni mambi ibile ke etone ha je shamo. Gbawe TV obafo yishla ni wakani ji enyo baanye. Nye ya wa YouTube channel no nya subscriber. Chinangmele ni yo jeme nye nyano. Ine ba ngwe bugbe nuni ji enyo ke wake bakpano ofe mo kenken no ni ba hye no. Eya ke wona egbe wake mancheme yue. Wake assemblements le hu yue. Agbene le hu mambi ni bajeme wakame yue. Obranya bi ke obraya bi ni bajeme le hu wakame nasane gba. Ni bi ni je amenane ame yue je hwemo. Nye ya wa YouTube channel no nya subscriber. Nye nya chinangmele no ene ba ngwe bugbe nuni ji enyo ke wake fokpano ofe mo kenken no ni ba hye no. Nye kan ya ke nya akwa Gbawe TV. Na Gbawe TV mi kebo ofen wononi.